All right, welcome to another episode of the Clever Angle Podcast. Today is the season finale of season 1, and we have Cory Jackson of Cory Jackson Music, and I couldn't be more excited to talk to him. How are you doing today, Cory?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. So, if you wouldn't mind, could you just give like a quick summary of who you are, what you're about, just like an elevator pitch, if you will?
Yeah, so my name is Cory Jackson, and I'm a singer, songwriter, and entertainer. And I like to think I'm country and Christian.
Yeah.
In both worlds.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, have you ever been on a podcast before?
I have.
Really?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Maybe one or two others.
Okay.
But that's about it. So I always love the opportunity.
Yeah. So what other shows have you been on? I love checking out. So I usually ask this to all my guests, but I've only got this is the second yes that I've got of someone that's been on another show. So what other shows were you on?
Okay. Now you put me on the spot. Let me remember the names here. Oh my gosh, I know one of them. I did just like back last year.
Yeah, is
Poor Opinions podcast? I did theirs, and I was really good friends with one of the guys that does that podcast.
Yeah,
he was in OT school like a year or two ahead of me when I had kind of started that program. So
was that person like local here or somewhere else?
He was, yeah.
Okay. I'm always looking to like link up with local podcasters.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's pretty
they're
cool.
awesome too.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So here on the Clever Angle, I like to break the ice with some warm up questions before we just dive into the interview. So I got a few questions prepared here. So outside of music, what are some other things that you're passionate about?
Oh, I like video games.
Really?
I do.
Okay, dude,
but my wife's a lot better than I am.
Really?
She is. I know.
Oh man, dude, that's the craziest thing I've heard all day. What games do you play?
So I love Shadow of Mordor.
Okay.
And I love Rocket League.
Yeah.
So just stuff like that.
Okay.
I try not to play too much, but sometimes I can't help it.
No, I mean, that's awesome, man.
I love that. I love fishing. Just about anything outdoors, I'm game for.
Yeah. I'm definitely a big video game fishing guy as well. I was just telling my wife about the new Xbox coming out that I want to get. So.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, that's awesome. Okay, so this is kind of like an off the wall question.
Okay.
But if there was a sandwich named after you, what would be on that sandwich?
Okay, this may be kind of plain, but it would have to have pepper jack cheese.
That's not plain at all. That's awesome. That's the best cheese ever created.
And it would have to have turkey because I love turkey.
Yeah.
And
just for clarification, is this a hot sandwich or a cold sandwich?
This would be if you go to Subway oven toasted or whatever.
Okay, there you go. You're painting the picture. I see it now.
Right. I see it. I got to have some veggies, like green peppers, some lettuce, some pickles, banana peppers, and maybe a little bit of honey mustard on there.
Okay. See, I like that. I like that sandwich. I'll definitely have to try the Cory Jackson for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know for me personally, singing is something that I've always wished that I could do. Is there something that you wish that you were better at that you might not be the greatest at?
Yeah, probably quite a few things. But one thing that really comes to mind is mandolin. So I'm actually working on that right now.
Yeah.
And I wish I was better at that, but also fly fishing.
Okay.
I just love fishing in general, but I've really wanted to get into fly fishing. So I bought a fly fish rod and reel last year, and I guess needless to say, I haven't practiced enough. Yeah. But it's just a lot of fun, and I want to be better at it.
Yeah. So what all instruments do you play?
Well, my main focus is just singing. That was really my big thing. And I put guitar kind of on the back burner for a while because when I first started, I didn't really sing until a lot later in life.
Really?
Yeah. When I was, I guess about 17 is kind of when I really got really interested in it. And so I really struggled for a long time with, like, if I sung for a while, I would end up hurting my voice.
Yeah.
And so I spent quite a few years just like studying it and taking from different vocal teachers. And so I don't know, I didn't mean to go off on that, but
no.
But my vocals have been kind of the main, I guess, main point. But I play guitar as well, and trying to learn mandolin.
Yeah,
and hopefully one of these days the harmonica, which I heard isn't too bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, it's interesting because it's like, I don't know. I played the trumpet when I was in junior high and high school, so. You know, you learn all these things of like how to read music and all that stuff, and it leaves you so quick after you stop playing.
It does. Yeah.
It's interesting that, you know, a little bit later in life you're trying to learn an instrument. But yeah, man, that's really cool. So what was it about singing that you were just like, I want to take this a little bit more seriously when you were?
Well, when I used to ride the bus home, so I was really shy when I was in school, and getting up on stage or presenting anything, that was a no-go for
oral
me.
Comm was just like the bane of my existence.
Oh, yeah. I didn't like it either. And but I would ride the bus home and, you know, put my earbuds in, and I would just like dream. I was up on the stage in my middle school cafeteria, and everybody's just singing along, you know. And I don't know why that was a dream of mine. It's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, a little High School Musical in you, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. But when I got involved with student council, was around the same time I started playing guitar a little bit and trying to sing. And my advisor of student council, Mr. Miller, he was like, "Hey, Cory, we're going to have a talent show. You're going to be in it." And I was like, I don't know about that. But I did it, and I loved it, and just kind of fell in love.
So in the talent show, you sang?
I did, yeah. And
what did you sing?
I tried. I did a song. So at that time, Dierks Bentley had just come out with a bluegrass album. I love bluegrass music. And he had a song on there called "Draw Me a Map," and I did that song.
Okay. That's awesome, because especially seeing where you came from, being a shy person, to like dreaming about wanting to be in front of all these people. That's really interesting. But yeah, back to the question. So where is somewhere that you haven't got a chance to travel to that you've always wanted to go?
Ooh, that's kind of a funny question there. I was actually just talking to Sarah. I was like, we need to go to Telluride, Colorado.
Really?
And I was looking it up a while ago, which I've kind of thought about it before in the past, but for some reason it came up in my mind a while ago just before I got here. And it's just such a beautiful place. And I love the mountains and anything that, like I said earlier, just outdoorsy kind of stuff. I love that. I love the beach too, but yeah, it's hard to beat the mountains.
I 100% agree with you. I've never really been a fan of like water vacations. Going on a cruise doesn't really excite me. But I'd love to do like trails and really cool sceneries. That's right up my alley. So being as that, you know, you've been on a singing competition, do you ever like do karaoke? Like, do you ever just go into random places, do karaoke and just be like, yeah, like I killed it. So
you know, that's what I would do. I probably would destroy it. Actually, I've done it once. There was one night I was out with some friends at a bar. Yeah, and I think it was B-Dubs here in town. Okay, and they were like, "Cory, you gotta do the karaoke tonight," and I think that's about the only time I've really like done karaoke.
Yeah. Do you remember what you sang? Was it Usher, Let It Burn?
No, I don't think it was that, but it's probably some country song.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know if you dabbled in R&B or anything.
I love all kinds of music.
Yeah. All right. So I feel like we have a better grasp of, you know, who you were a little bit growing up. So here at the Clever Angle, I love diving into people's journeys and how they got to the destination. So can you just tell us a little bit about your upbringing? Like, what was it that kind of drew you to music? Like, how were you as a kid, like going up into high school?
I remember when I was a kid, I would always go on vacation with my family and my grandparents to Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. And, there's a lot of country and folk and bluegrass music there. And I feel like that's probably a lot of like the music that I like kind of comes from. But like I said, when I was growing up, I was very, very shy. And I would have never, if somebody would have told me I would be doing this back when I was like 13, 14, I'd be like, oh no, there's no way, But my grandpa, he's really the reason I'm doing what I'm doing. When I was about 16, about to turn 17, he wanted me to play guitar with him, and he never played out or anything. He just played at home. And he had recently retired and, was kind of looking for stuff to do. And he was like, Cory, I really want you to play with me here at the house. And at first I was very like, I don't know if that's what I really want to do. But then ended up telling him, I was like, well, if you can help me pick out my very first guitar, then I will play with you. So we picked that out over Christmas break, and I got that. Still got it to this day. And just fell in love with music. I would come home. I remember coming home after school, and that would be like the first thing I would do. And he ended up passing away 5 months after that. And I could just never put it down ever since then. Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about being in student council when you were in junior high school area. What was your goal? Like, what did you plan on doing career wise, like coming out of high school?
My plan, which is kind of funny because it took a total turn when I got into college, but I had shadowed a lot of ophthalmologists, optometrists, and different stuff like that. And I wanted to be an ophthalmologist. I wanted to be an eye surgeon. And there was just something about the eye that really intrigued me, which I'd had an incident when I was a little kid where there was this fuzzy caterpillar in a cup in our garage, and I think it was dead. I was like trying to blow on it, trying to see if it was alive, and all the hair and stuff that was on it flew, and it got in my eye, and it scratched my eye.
Wow.
And I had to wear a patch for so many days to get it to heal. So ever since then, I was like, well, I want to be an optometrist or, something of that sort. So that was my plan. And then when music really took hold, I just couldn't say no to it.
Yeah. So did you go into college thinking that you were going to do music, or what did you major in when you got to college?
So I started out as an undecided major. And I did that because I heard if you took this one class when you first went in, it was really hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm going to go in undecided.
Yeah.
But I never planned on doing music when I graduated high school. It was still to become an ophthalmologist. And it was just kind of in that first year or two was when I was like, man, I don't want to go to school forever because I want to play music. I want to see where that can take me. And so that's when I began to shadow other things and kind of see what else I might like that might be a little bit of a shorter path. And that's when I got interested in occupational therapy. So,
yeah. So did you complete your undergrad, and did you ever pursue occupational therapy?
I did. So I completed my bachelor's. And I had applied for occupational therapy doctorate school at A-State, and I got in. I went one semester, did really well, and I loved it. Loved the teachers, loved my classmates. And at the kind of in the middle of that semester, I began to think when I would be sitting in class, I was like, I could be writing a song, or I could be playing a show right now. There was a lot of things just going on in my mind. And so I had to pray real hard before I made the big decision. But before school started back in the spring, I decided that I needed to pursue the music thing for right now, and school will always be there. And I hated to quit. That was a big controversy in my mind, because I was like, it's really hard to get into this program. And then
30 students or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's all they take. And to throw that away, what I'd been working on through my bachelor's was that was a hard thing to do. But I just felt like God was calling me to music.
Yeah, so I know that must have been tough for you. So what was the reaction like to your friends and family when you decided to tell them and say, hey, I'm going to go pursue music and I'm just going to put school on the back burner right now?
That was tough, especially presenting that to my parents as well as Sarah, my wife's, her parents, because I felt like my parents were like, are you sure that's what you want to do? They were very supportive of it. I think the hardest part was telling Sarah's parents, because, we were thinking about getting married in the next year or two. And they're like, well, what are you going to do, and how are you going to make money? How are you going to afford bills and everything? And, but in the end, they were all extremely supportive, and I've seen God just work it out through every little step. And this made me really lean on him through this process as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because I interview a lot of people, and it's tough to break that traditional go to school. You pick a major, you graduate, and then this is what you do. Especially from, my own experience, it's hard to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life at 18.
It is.
You get to know yourself so much more as you go through your 20s. And so that's a very interesting story for sure. So where does the voice come in? Like, where does, okay, I'm going to apply for this show come in to all of this? So,
I think it was, early 2019, The Voice had released where they were going, and Nashville was like one of the closest places. And, or actually, I guess it was kind of later 2009, or I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know what year we're in. Yeah. 2018, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, season 17 was what I was on. So I actually tried out February of 2019. So it would have been, 2018. We found out where they were going. And I think it was November or so. My parents were like, hey, The Voice is coming to Nashville in February. Why don't you go? And I've done American Idol and stuff before.
Really? I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, I had won a competition in Jonesboro, and I don't remember what year that was. It was a few years ago. And it was at the mall at Turtle Creek. And I really couldn't believe it, because I was still really new to this music stuff and didn't really know that much. I'd written songs and stuff, but I had won that, and I got to meet Keith Urban and J-Lo and Harry Connick Jr., which was awesome.
You got to meet them for winning the Jonesboro contest?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
And I didn't ever get to try out in front of them, but I did get to meet them. But anyway, the voice stuff, my parents and my wife, and she was my fiance at the time, and they were all just like, hey, just go try it. And I'd been kind of through the television stuff. It's very different than, what you would think, just looking in.
Yeah.
It's very long. It's a long process, a lot of standing in line. And I didn't want to do it at first, because I was like, I've been through this kind of stuff before. You learn something from it, but sometimes it's not very fun.
Yeah.
Just the long waiting process. But I was like, well, I'll go do it. If anything, it'll be a fun weekend in Nashville.
Yeah.
Whether nothing happens, which I didn't expect it to. But I stood in line outside, and it was February, so it was freezing cold, and I had this little bitty jacket on. Stood outside for 2 hours, and I was just freezing. And we got inside, and I was kind of past the point of worrying about my songs. I was just like, I'm so cold. I just want to be inside and just get this done and over with. And they stuck us in a room with about 9 other people. So there was 10 total, and we all had to sing. And the producer of the show, he had me sing like 3 songs, and everybody else only got to sing 1, which in my mind at the time, I was like, does he not like what I'm doing? You know, or what's going on here? Because everybody else just sounded absolutely amazing. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm not going through. And then at the end of that, he was like, great job, everyone. Thanks for coming in and supporting The Voice. You all may go except for Cory. And so that was kind of the start of The Voice for me. It was just family trying to get me to go, and I finally gave in and went, and just couldn't. I didn't ever expect anything like that.
So when you were singing your songs, were the other people in the room with you? They
were, yeah. So they had like a marker on the floor where you had to go stand, and it was just one producer of the show, and then they had 5 chairs on each side lined up. You just sat there and watch everybody, and it was super quiet.
Oh man, that's nerve wracking.
It is.
I do not envy you on it. So what happened after that? After they told everyone to leave, and you were just in this room, what happened after that?
So I ended up, and I think everybody's process is very different, but for me, I had to do all this paperwork, and they were going to be there the next day, so I had to go to another location. We ended up having to get a hotel for that night, go to another location the next morning to do another audition in front of some other producers. And if you made it through that, which I did, and then I had to go do this interview, and they just asked me random questions about my life in front of a camera. And it was just you looking at this camera,
yeah.
And there was someone else in the room asking you the questions. And I didn't hear anything back from them for a while. Nobody found out that day if you moved on or anything. Yeah. So it was very nerve-wracking process, but a lot of paperwork.
So what was it like looking into that camera like that? Like, what was that experience like?
I felt like it was, it felt normal for me. I'd done a few interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad. It got very personal and like very emotional with some of the questions.
Yeah,
but it was good. It was really good.
So what did the process look like after that? After they're like, okay, you might hear from us, you might not.
It was actually still even more rounds that I had to go through.
Really? Before you even went on the show, you had to do all this?
Yeah, before I even got to that. It was like 3 or 4 months later before I even got on the show, even after that, and went to LA for a week, came back, didn't hear anything, and then went to LA for a month, and then I finally got on the show, but not everybody did. Some of them, you'd go for the month and they'd get cut right before they even got to get on stage. So you had to be very careful with what you did and follow the rules. So,
what did that month look like in LA before you went to the blind audition?
It was awesome.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. So I've heard a lot of different things from different people, but for me, it was very relaxing. I got to really focus on the song I was doing, practicing, but enjoy the moment, which I don't get to do very much. I feel like sometimes, especially with shows, it's like, hurry up, get ready, go, which I was very surprised because I thought that's how the process would be, like, hurry up, go, get it over with. But I got to enjoy every moment of it.
Was that your first time in LA?
It was. That's the farthest west I've ever been.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually have some family up there, so I've been a few times. What was your favorite part about being in Los Angeles?
Probably the mountains. So that was,
yeah.
We didn't really get to go anywhere when we were there. We were kind of quarantined because they didn't want us just roaming around the city and stuff because we had certain things we had to do. But I would just sit in the hotel and just look out the window. And obviously the weather was always super nice.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take it past that. You're on stage at the blind auditions. What's going through your head?
relax, breathe.
Yeah.
I remember it was kind of funny because I wasn't thinking about them filming me before everything started, but the doors open. It was time for me to go out there, and it was very dark. Walked up the steps, and I always do like this lip buzz thing when I'm kind of nervous and trying to relax. So I did that, and they caught that on tape, and they put it right before I started, which I thought was funny. But I remember I had just like practiced so much before that. I was still nervous about it, but there was also like this calmingness as well right before I went on. And the best part of it all, I had a vocal coach there, and I ended up becoming really good friends with her, and she was just so nice. And her name was Miss Bird. And we prayed before we went out there, which I thought was so cool because I didn't hear, there was other vocal coaches that would come before you went on stage, but
yeah.
I just didn't expect that. She was like, "Hey Cory, do you care if I pray for you before you go out there?" And I was like, "Yes, that would be awesome."
Yeah.
So that definitely helped too.
Yeah. Okay. So you're out there, you're singing your song, and then you get the 3-chair turn. Was it a difficult decision to decide whose team you were going to be on? And what was it like when that first chair turned around?
Man, that was just an absolutely amazing moment. There's not many other words I feel like that can describe it. It was just so crazy.
Yeah, I watched it a few times, and it's a little bit into the song before someone turns around, so I didn't know if you were nervous, like, oh man, I'm almost done with my song, like
well,
what's gonna happen?
I was getting there because it was close to the end.
Yeah.
But I remember when Blake turned around, and weeks before I got to get on stage, I kind of had an idea that I would want to pick Blake if he turned for me, and I had multiple choices. But before I went up, one of the ladies there, she's like, "Don't have someone in mind. Just let it happen and see what comes of it." And I was like, "Okay." So when Blake turned around, I was like, "Oh yes, I got a secure spot."
Yeah, yeah.
And I could not believe that Gwen. Especially Gwen turned around, but when Kelly turned around too, it was just, to get 3 chair turns.
Yeah.
I didn't even expect to get one, so that was cool.
Yeah, so you obviously went with Blake. What was that process like after you were on Team Blake?
Everything got probably a little more serious after that, a little more work to do. I remember once Zach got on the show, me and him ended up getting paired up, which we had already known each other. We were roommates the entire time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And I felt like me and him had a lot in common, very just down-to-earth guy, and super, super cool. But we ended up having, to do a lot of rehearsals for the duet, and I kind of struggle with harmony in the first place. I'm just not used to singing harmony that much.
Yeah.
And so we worked on that a lot.
Okay. So during that process, did you have to ever go outside of your comfort zone from like a genre standpoint, or was it just all strictly country?
I got lucky. I didn't ever have to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends did. Like they would get assigned different songs, and they'd be like, "Oh man, I've never done this song before. I never heard it." And so it made things more difficult. But I feel like Zach and I both, we got very lucky with our choices. We already knew the songs, and just, we had played them for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the show, so me and my wife watch it all the time. Were you a fan of the show before? I
was, yeah.
Who are some of your favorite contestants before you went on the show?
Oh, man. Now, I know Morgan Wallen was on there at one point, and he's really broke out into country music now. Yeah. He wasn't country when he was on the show, but I would have to say from coming off the show, he's been one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
There's been others, but me trying to recall names.
Yeah,
It's going to be hard.
No, it's all good, man. So can you talk a little bit about the duet? What was it like being on stage with Zach?
Oh, man. I had the time of my life that day. It was just such a surreal moment, but it went by so fast, it almost feels like a dream.
Yeah.
But I remember, there was an audience and the lights and everything just felt so good in that moment. And I wouldn't go back and change one thing about it.
Yeah. So what would you say your favorite part about being a part of the competition was?
There was a lot of things. I've had a few people ask me that question. And even though like I sing out and stuff, I'm still kind of an introvert a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think the best part of it was all the friends that I made through the process. I became real close to people that I didn't even know. I was out in LA. I didn't know anybody out there. But I became real close with Zach and Mary Beth, who is also here. And Mary Beth and I have been able to play a lot of shows together, and our families have, grown real close. And I would have to say that's probably the best part of it all, just the people that I met through it.
Yeah. So what has your life been like since you came off of the show and it aired and everything? What has life been like for you?
It's definitely been a lot more crazy in a good way. We've been very fortunate and blessed to just like get a lot more shows in new places with new faces. And I just love meeting new people. And when you see just an amazing reaction from them, it's so heartwarming knowing that even if they were having a good day or a bad day, you're able to be a part of their life and fill them with joy. But yeah, the biggest thing is just getting new shows and being able to meet new people. COVID has really changed a lot of that for this year. But I remember coming back, and it was just, I think another really great part of it all was seeing all the support that I received from my community here in Jonesboro. That was just also so very heartwarming and just absolutely incredible, because it's just little stuff like that just makes me want to keep going. Yeah.
So after you exited the show, do you still have like a relationship with Blake, or are y'all still in contact?
No. When I did talk to him after the show about potentially playing Old Red. And so hopefully that's in the future.
Okay.
So I look forward to that.
Yeah. So like, where do you go from here? What can people that are fans of your music expect? Like, have you been working on an album, songs? Like, what have you been up to?
So through this process of COVID and everything, all shows getting canceled pretty much, I've been songwriting all the time. And that's been really, really awesome, because normally I'm so busy, it's hard to even get an opportunity to sit down and write.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of writing. I'm actually been talking to a friend of mine in Nashville about recording some new stuff this late fall, winter, and should have some new stuff this coming year that I'm super excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So what would be some advice you would give to someone that wants to pursue music?
The biggest thing I would say is keep practicing. Music is a very, very difficult journey to take, and it has high highs and low lows.
Yeah.
And but the biggest thing is to never give up, and most importantly, follow your heart with it.
Yeah. So just doing the podcast and creating content, I know how difficult it can be to, come up with ideas and different things. So what is your process like for creating new songs? Like, do you write all of your own songs? Do you have someone that helps you? Do you have like a manager or anything? Like, what's your process look like?
Every song is different. I feel like there's sometimes I come up with a melody first, sometimes I come up with a lyric first. I do a lot of co-writing. I don't do as much just writing by myself anymore.
Yeah.
I may come up with an idea myself, and then I pitch it to some co-writers, and I'm like, hey, what do y'all think about this? And then we write it together. I've kind of learned where my limits are with writing, and I kind of know where I can go and where I need help with in those situations. But yeah, every song is just so different and unique, and how it is created for me.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's really awesome. So, where are some places that people can connect with you?
So you can find me on my website at CoryJacksonMusic.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at Cory Jackson Music, and Twitter and Snapchat. And I believe that one is C Jackson Music 1.
Okay. So yeah, before we get out of here, is there any last words or tips or anything that you want to make sure that everyone out there knows, or anything interesting that you want someone to know about you?
I don't know. I don't feel like I'm that interesting of a guy.
No, man. This has been really. It's been an awesome interview, just because I think that a lot of people wonder what it's like to be on like a television show, and you know, what it's like after. So I've really enjoyed sitting down with you, talking with you, and I look forward to seeing your music and stuff in the future.
Well, thank you, Tevin. I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, man. So yeah, this has been another episode of the Clever Angle podcast. We'll have all the places that you can connect with Cory in the show notes below. And until next time, peace.